A new movie has just been released worldwide, and to be honest with you, I feel kinda overwhelmed by it.
Shut up and sit down.
Yo, what's good? It's Abodi Reviews, and My Hero Academia World's Hero Mission, the movie 3, is the third film in the My Hero Academia movie series, officially released worldwide yesterday, the 29th, and it was released originally in Japan August the 6th. But what's this film all about? When a terrorist organization threatens to wipe out the superhuman society, the fate of the world hangs in the balance of the future heroes. Within hours until the collapse of civilization, Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki Shoto must work as a team. But there is one problem. Deku's on the run for murder, but did he commit the crime? Directed by Kenji Nagasaki from a screenplay by Yosuke Kuroda, the film's original voice actors all return, both subbed and dubbed, with a few additional new voices. Well, let's talk about the good. And the good is that I must say that out of all the My Hero films, this film has such a nicely paced first and second act, including the third act as well. The whole film feels so evenly paced out. There's no slow parts, which is a problem I had with the second film, where when the students were fighting in towards the third act of the film, the pacing kind of slowed down and it just felt a little bit sluggish at times. But this film, I kind of like the pacing. Deku being wanted for murder and he's on the run, and he and this boy called Rody must try and investigate what's been happening with the help of Bakugo and Todoroki. Feels like this is Rody the movie with My Hero Academia characters, because they sort of feel a little bit more side-like, and Rody and Deku are more the main stars of this flick. The two of them have some sort of brotherly bond in the film, which is very different to the bonds that Deku had with Bakugo or the others. Very wholesome and sweet, although the fandom might go a bit nuts over this pairing. This film had really emotional backstory scenes, particularly Rody's backstory with his father and his brother and sister, how stuff happens and you just feel so damn bad for him. You see where he's coming from when he does certain choices that are pretty damn questionable, but you kind of root for the dude as well. I loved how we weren't in one location throughout the entire film. Like in the first film it was just America, the second film it was just one island, but with this film it's kind of a all over the world journey, and I kind of really like that. It's nice seeing different locations. And speaking of locations, there are some scenes when they're in the city and Rody's just doing these park tour-esque jumps over buildings, and the animation is so dynamic, and that's another pro of this film. There's a lot of dynamic, stylized animation sequences where the camera would kind of scale up in perspective and zoom down. It had a lot of those scenes with Bakugo and Todoroki when they were helping Deku and Rody out in the second act of the film. And there's a lot of these wicked Spider-Man-esque moments with Deku and his black whip. He's swinging around, and there's like a bridge scene that sort of reminded me of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 sequence. You can tell my boy Horikoshi is super inspired by that superhero. And I must say, the comedic moments actually landed with this film. There's a lot of weirdly stylized facial expressions in this movie that just sort of have you cracking up, with Deku chasing the train to catch up to Rody, or Rody's facial expressions after Deku was swinging him around the city. And of course that final fight. I don't want to spoil who was fighting who, but that was a treat to watch. As well as Katsuki, Bakugo, and Todoroki Shoto's fight. Todoroki had a lot of cool fluid animation when he was using his fire and ice techniques. But let's talk about the bad of this film, and I have to admit the villain was kind of a generic mustache twirling villain. He had no backstory to him. There was nothing that made you sympathize with this guy or see where he was coming from. He was just evil for evil's sake. It felt like a cliche 80s villain. Pretty weakly written character in my opinion. I also must admit that the OST was a bit of a disappointment in this movie. There wasn't too many new scores. They sort of recycled a lot of scores from the previous seasons and sort of remixed them into this movie, which was again a disappointment. I would have liked to have heard some new original scores. Another negative with this film is that it kind of sucked that we didn't get to see much of Class 1A apart from Todoroki Shoto and Katsuki Bakugo. We saw a bit of Ochaku Uraraka and Yararozo in the mix, but that was it. We rarely got to see them. They were just sort of either in still shots or the end credits when they're just sort of coming back to UA. It was just sort of disappointing that we didn't see much of them. I suppose because since the previous movie had UA throughout the entire film, they wanted to sort of scale it back and just keep it a little bit more tight and small when it came to having only a few characters from UA. But the one thing I do think wasn't too much of a negative, but it did sort of make me feel a little bit like, whoa, that's a bit too much there, was there was a fight with Deku and the animation was lit, but I think it went a bit too overboard. Like, there were times when it almost looked too good. It was like having a beautiful cake and eating it, and then someone just giving you more and more and more, but you feel full already and you don't want to eat too much. That's how that sequence felt. It was just way too much good stuff, and to be honest with you, it kind of felt overwhelming. It just kept going on and on and on, and the film kind of felt sporadic at times in terms of, like, there were a lot of scenes where explosions would happen in explosions, where someone would go flying through a brick wall and then a massive explosion would happen, creating another explosion. It kind of felt like Michael Bay took over this film at times. It just felt very erratic and it didn't flow as well. Like, it was just explosions for explosion's sake, just having beautifully animated scenes of bombs being detonated and things just going boom. It just felt too much, man. And the audio was just a bit damn loud in this film that it just gave me a bit of an earache, but I'm guessing that's more for the theatre's fault. But overall, World's Hero Mission is a pretty fun watch. Got a lot of heart, mystery, and epicness to it. And I'm gonna give this movie a A out of 10 and a B+. Go check it out right now. I'm gonna check this film out again tonight in the English dub, and then I'm gonna do a ranking list of all 3 My Hero films, ranking them from the worst to the best. Subscribe for more anime and manga reactions and reviews. Thanks for watching. Boarded Reviews signing out.